Hello.
Hello. Just to let you know, we're live. Um,
Excellent.
uh, you've got a new avatar. What does that all mean?
This one, that's when I was in the IDF in the Golan Heights in the
Uh-huh.
wintertime. And yeah, I'm just reminiscing on my younger days when
Ah,
I was in better shape and I'm being nostalgic and I want to inspire myself a little more because I used to look better and I used to feel better. I used to look in, I was in better shape. Obviously, I was in my young, over there I'm like 22, 23.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Is
hopefully.
that snow or sand that you're kneeling on?
No, snow. It's all snow.
Golden Heights have snow? I always think of it as desert.
No,
But
no, it's very lush. There's a lot of the Golan Heights in the area near the Lebanese border is very lush. A lot of water, a lot of
Mhm.
forests, a lot of greenery. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah.
Oh, right, right. I had no
Well,
idea. I just assumed it was somewhere in the desert, and I was surprised to
yeah.
see.
No, I'm wearing a full body a thermonite. It's called. It's like for the winter a uniform for patrols and for winter gear.
Mhm.
So that's not the desert. That's snow. In Lebanon, you have the mountains there always get snow, and so it's right on the border there with Syria and Lebanon. It's part of the Hermon mountain range, and it's a beautiful place. It's just we go skiing there. There's a ski lift there, and yeah, Israel has the best of everything. So we get winter snow and we can ski and skateboard, not skateboard, snowboard. And
Mhm.
yeah, you got the Dead Sea, you got the Mediterranean, you got the Red Sea, you got a variety of climates, and yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, I'm
Right.
not. I mean, there were benefits to New York. I made a sort of a nostalgic video
I saw
tribute.
it. I really enjoyed that one with the music and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. That it kind of made
And
me.
the romantic one. I thought, if only Sam would actually, the clips of the other video anyway. If you
Uh,
could have the name of all the movies that you took
uh,
from, that would be great too.
yeah, yeah. Well, the first one was a streetcar named Desire
Yes,
with
I recognized
Marlon
Vivian
Brando.
Lee.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe, yeah, that's a good one. And a lot of them are well-known movies, but I can't recall all the name of the actors and the movies. But you got Grace Kelly there. You've got a lot of famous, well-known
Mhm.
a classic, classic movie actors from the heyday of Hollywood, the golden years of Hollywood. When it was classy and everything. So I did a dedication like that to those old movies, and it also put it to I was a Cars from the '80s, a song that's kind of fit the tone and the mood for the scenes and the love scenes and the kissing and everything. But yeah, yeah. I'm kind of in a, I'm for some reason I think I know why I'm in a mellow mood. I'm very calm, despite the fact that I should be livid. I should be, steam should be coming out of my ears, and I should be, anxious and uptight and concerned. But I'm not, and have a feeling. I have a feeling I know why. And I wanted to share one of my rabbi's videos from yesterday, but there's a palatable feeling of if you're in tune. There's a palatable feeling of security and calm, and I'm not deluding myself. I'm not being I'm not fantasizing. A Something is happening, and I feel it, despite the fact that I should be concerned, knowing what I know. Um, my heart is sort of like calm. It's like I'm not tense. It's kind of a lighthearted feeling,
Mhm.
and I'm optimistic, and even at work when I was talking to my coworkers, I kind of like I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I say I speak my mind, and sometimes I shouldn't, But I told him, despite everything, like I'm telling you now, all the things that we know are facing us, I'm optimistic. I feel calm, and I feel secure and reassured that things will work out for the best after we go through a lot of this chaos and turmoil. That's not speculation anymore. It's just a guarantee. And I have my rabbi's video where he's talking from yesterday. He said that God has intensified his presence in the land of Israel. It's like God has descended, just like what happened at Mount Sinai. A similar event is taking place now, and maybe that's why I don't think it's psychosomatic. I don't think I'm sort of like playing tricks on my mind. I feel it. It's not in my head. I feel it in my chest. The chest in your heart is where you're feeling anxiety and tension, fear, your perpetude. Am I saying that correctly? That word?
Palpitations.
Palpitations. The palpitations from stress and anxiety. Your mind can cause that to happen. Your body goes into like a stressful kind of a tense physical sort of pain. And knowing what I know, and this information that we always kind of try to analyze and make sense of, I know it from the past that usually if I listen to it too intensely and I listen to it and I take it to heart, it causes me stress. It causes my chest to tense up. It causes me palpitations, and and I know it's because I'm consuming this information, and I feel it in my chest, and knowing what I know, I should be feeling that intensely now. I should be feeling that like, to the point of like it being unbearable, but it is the exact opposite. Even though I want to test myself, and I even want to try to induce these reactions, it's not happening. It's just not happening. It's like I'm calm. I feel no pressure. Yeah.
No, I was just agreeing with you because I think I'm calmer now than I was before, and I was thinking, well, as we get older, there may be more to fear, but for some reason I'm not. I don't know. I mean, there were times on the internet when somebody insults you, somebody mocks you, and your heart does beat. But I seem able now to take a step back and not feel those feelings of stress and anxiety for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's I think for me, it's more about this long a sort of not just struggle, long work, long years of attention and focus and work. I mean, I did a lot of work. I put a lot of time into analyzing things, understanding things, seeing things abstractly, seeing things from all angles and how they interrelate, how everything creates a clear picture. And in that process, I can't deny, I mean, I put myself through a lot of stress because this stuff is very dark. Very dark what's happening now, and it's very scary stuff. But I'm reassured. I'm feeling very, very placid and sort of like in a serene mood. And it's what my rabbi said. I think it's real. I mean, it's not that I think. I know every word he says is true. I'm just connecting it and associating it with what he said yesterday. He said God's presence has descended upon the land of Israel, where God's direct involvement and direct hand is now going to be felt. Very similar to what happened at Mount Sinai, if not identical, but that's what Messianic revelation is all about. And because Israel's a current Shinui coalition, the malicious government that was foretold of in ancient prophecies about the end times, according to Jewish Messianic eschatology, it's a fulfillment. It's teetering on the edge of failure and collapse. Anything at any moment can cause it to collapse. And the idiot Bennett and Lapid, his sidekick, are doing everything at all costs to keep this crooked government going. And people are so sick and fed up. They want to just have this coalition, this sick experiment to end, to stop now. And what coincides with that is the big day, the Messianic revelation. It's like you have a new government that's more in line with what God wants, with what the Messiah can work with. He will be the one telling them what to do and running them, but they will be the administrators. It's not the. It will be 100% religious Jewish government that's going to do the will of God and the Messiah. That's what my rabbi publicized yesterday, and for many weeks and for many months now, that's what he's been saying. That's why I feel tranquil, and it's not psychosomatic; it's genuine. Because even though I listen to a lot of videos that would usually induce fear, panic, stress, anxiety, tension in my chest, it's just like it's like flowing right over my head. Like, all right, yeah. What we're facing is basically what we said. In Europe, you're going to have a sovereign debt crisis. You might have a credit freeze in the banking system. We're facing some serious calamity in the West, starting with Europe and now China is. You're watching what's happening. The tensions and the belligerence is becoming more sort of like obvious in your face. The Chinese are telling the Americans. Did you read these headlines from the Chinese?
No, I haven't been following it. I've been a little busy these past few days. Do tell.
Well, they're saying is that we're not afraid of going to war against you, and we will go to war against you if you continue provoking us over Taiwan. And if you continue insisting that you want Taiwan to be sovereign and not a part of mainland China, we don't recognize Taiwanese sovereignty. We see it as a part of China. And it's a major point of friction and conflict that now people are saying that Southeast Asia and the East Asia will be, can have a potential of resembling Ukraine, in having this kind of war erupt in Taiwan, in the South China Seas. And this is what I'm seeing as far as the headlines I'm reading, and it's not it's not an exaggeration. These are these are actually formal, direct government threats being directed towards the United States and the United States government. It's like basically mind your own business, stay out of our affairs, stay out of our sphere of influence. Stay away from getting involved in Taiwan, and we will go to war against you. The belligerence is getting more direct. Here, China tells the U.S. we will go to war.
And fight to the end, I think it says, according to Al Jazeera. China vows to, quote, fight to the end, unquote, to prevent Taiwan's independence.
Right. It's very profound and belligerent as far as the language being used. This is saber rattling that you had before the Ukraine war popped off. This is how it starts, and what I'm getting here is
Americans, because I feel like America's like this sort of drunk, belligerent man, shaking his fist and saying, "What are you looking at? Do you want some?" And you know that somebody will just come up to him and, I don't know, punch him just once.
Yeah, but I mean, if America is Biden, he's a drunk, drugged out, a belligerent, wino that has soiled his pants, that wears adult diapers, that constantly soils his pants. This is the image you have of America now. It's humiliating. And at the same time, China is not in good shape. Chinese, what I'm seeing here is the Chinese debt is also running out of, running amok and running wild. From their reports, what came out in May, and they're going into recession in China. So they have an incentive to even go to war as a distraction, just like Erdogan has an interest in going to war against Syria as a distraction, which is what he's doing now, because they have over 70-something% inflation in Turkey. That's crazy territory. That's like food riot territory. How he's keeping it together, I don't know. It's probably by way of subsidies, by way of food rationing that's probably going on without it being officially declared. And that's what's probably going on in Turkey. That's how Erdogan is keeping his government together. I mean, it's probably undeclared and not formal, but otherwise people would be rioting in the streets if you have, and these are the official numbers. They're over 70% inflation. How he keeps it together, it's only because the government is getting involved directly in feeding the people there. I'm absolutely certain of that. That's what's happening over there, But that's headed for the rest of the world. I mean, if it's not going to be runaway inflation, it's going to be one of these ruses, one of these false flags, so they can declare a financial reset and switch over to central bank digital currencies and universal basic income. They can't do this on the fly. They need an excuse. They need a diversion. They need a smokescreen. They need to somehow convince the sheep, the blind masses that there was some event that necessitated this major, a shift, a paradigm shift in finances and banking. And what I'm hearing from Monaco 64 Mario there in the city in London that used to work as a bond broker in the banks in the city of London is that it's Italy now, Greece and Spain. It's back to the pigs, but especially Italy. Pigs meaning Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, Spain that had a sovereign debt crisis in the early part of the 2010s. We're back on track for another one of those, convulsions. And he's saying that it will probably kick off in Italy. And also it was, believe it or not, it was the Telegraph out of the UK that posted an article that Mario talked about and publicized. The headline of it was that the UK could be facing anarchy. And this is not, again, hyperbole. This is based on financial reality, Here, I'll find you the video and the title, and I'll find you the link to the Telegraph. Economic collapse could lead UK into anarchy, warns. One second here. I'll find you warns the Telegraph, and I'll find the link that he posted to that article. It's recent, and if he just shared the link, but you could Google that title. And you'll find that that's what a mainstream, commercial mainstream news agency or newspaper. Here, I found it. Here it is. Here, the name of the article: Watch out, Boris, recession and a fuel crisis can quickly explode into anarchy. Telegraph article. And here I'll post the link. He has it in the video, his YouTube video. One second, I'll post it in the private chat.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's food for thought for you guys over there in the UK. Mm-hmm. UK food supply vulnerable after fertilizer factory closes permanently. It's also from the Telegraph. So the food supplies and also supply shortages that can begin to creep up. And he's in London like you, so he's concerned about his immediate environment and what's happening in the UK. Mm-hmm. Here, and it's not fear mongering and hyperbole. I mean, this is really happening, and at the same time, I know this is meant to be. This couldn't be delayed forever. This had to come. This had to arrive. And here it is. We're here. And what happened yesterday? I was listening to other YouTube personalities and channels. Is that the a, a mortgage bond securities in the United States, the rates on those shot up in one day by 30 basis points, meaning it was at 5.5 and it shot up to 5.85. It was something like 35 basis points. And there were no bids on these mortgage-backed securities, not mortgage bond, mortgage-backed securities. The same phenomenon that happened in 2008 that led to the 2008 financial crisis and the housing bubble that blew up, and that's happening now. So what they said was that because of the event that nobody was interested, there were no bids on these mortgage-backed securities yesterday until the last minute, when a mysterious bidder started buying them, which is obviously a government entity and some sort of or a Fed entity. They always have their tricks that they can pull in order to save their own asses. But that was a sign of things to come. They used the analogy of a car, driving into a telephone pole, crashing into a telephone pole, and that the initial, crash or the initial impact is not what causes the damage. And they, compared that to what happened yesterday. And basically what causes the damage is the secondary sort of, impact that a driver might have if he's not wearing a seatbelt, or even if he is wearing a seatbelt. If the car gets crushed, then you have the impact inside the car itself, where your head can smash into the windshield or smash into the dashboard or into the steering wheel, and that's where the real damage is done. So there's a secondary impact after the initial impact. So what they're saying is that yesterday served as the initial impact, and after the Fed fund rate is going to be raised again, some people are speculating even up to 75 basis points in the United States. The Federal Reserve Chairman Powell is going to make an announcement on Wednesday, and they're going to raise the funds rates, the federal funds rates, by 50 basis points. It could be even more, because inflation is running hot and hotter than people expected, and they're lying about the real inflation. So they're trying to combat inflation by raising interest rates, which is going to have an unpleasant effect on, again, the housing market and on the credit systems, the credit markets in the United States, and then eventually also the rest of the world. But it's gonna further puncture the housing bubble and let out all the air, because it's going to raise rates on mortgage rates as well. And that's also going through the roof. The housing bubble has begun to burst. It's the same thing that happened in 2007, 2008 that led to the market crash, that led to the major calamity, that the markets fell almost down to nothing. And we recall that time period. And it was a time to get rich, because that's when Bitcoin started taking off. And that's when Bitcoin, all the speculators that took a risk on Bitcoin at the time and held on to their Bitcoin became millionaires over many, not that many years. And, because they took a risk, they could have bought Bitcoin at less than $1 per Bitcoin. And some people bought thousands, and some people were smart. Some people held on to it. Some people became millionaires virtually overnight. That's not going to happen this time, because you're going to have a credit freeze. You're going to get hyperinflation. This time it's going to be a wipeout of the majority of the people of the world and their funds, their savings, their checking, their investments, the value of their homes. It's going to be calamitous, Claire. And even by my saying that, I'm saying that like, like Hannibal Lecter, while he's eating somebody's face, and his heart rate doesn't even go up a bit. I'm sorry to sound morbid. I'm just that just popped into my mind, where it's like something so traumatic, so horrifying, so horrific, and it doesn't. It's not making me skip a beat. I'm not tense. My chest is very. It's like I'm thinking like, not like a crazy serial killer cannibal, but I'm just saying I should be. You know what I'm. You know where I'm taking this. I should be like frenzied, but I'm not. I mean, I'm very calm by
Because
saying,
you have faith.
yes, yeah, exactly that. I have faith. Very good. That's where I was taking it. That's where I was going. And I know I made the right decision for myself, even though I had to endure what I had to endure here by my own of my own making. I'm not pitying myself. I'm not playing the victim card. It's all in God's hands. God's weights and measures what everyone has to go through. So I'm a very accepting. I'm very humble at this point. I submit. This is everything is God's will at this. It's well understood for me now, and whatever. And thank God I'm alive. I'm still healthy. I have my son. I have my family. I'm in Israel. It's like I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't want. I mean, that's not what's interesting me now. Materialism and all this. It's the only thing that interests me now is seeing this process play itself out to the fullest 100%, and we're upon it right now. Israel's coalition will fall apart, and that's the signal. That's the springboard for messianic revelation. And then after that, then it's going to be God. It's in God's hands. He's going to sort it out, and it's going to be very in your face, sort of a explicit, a sort of public, and then the world will be put in its place. So when you ask me about false conversions of Gentiles that convert via Reform Judaism, and they want to come here, it's not recommended that they do that. I mean, if they don't have genuine conversions to Judaism and they come here while the Messiah is being revealed, they'll be quickly leaving here. It's not that or if they insist on staying, they won't live. It's going to be that severe. I mean, it's going to be cut and dry, absolute 100% a filtering process by the hand of God, okay? And it's not something to be trifled with. It sounds like I'm exaggerating and I'm being dramatic. It's just fair warning, And at this point, I'm not the one that should. I'm not taking responsibility for any of these people. I'm just putting this warning out for you because I'm repeating my rabbi's message. Rabbi Nir Ben Artzi, he warned of this. If you are not a genuine convert to Judaism, if you converted via Reform Judaism or via some fake rabbi like whatever his name is over there, John knows who I'm talking about, Meza.
Asher Meza.
The guy that went to India to convert Indians, the Hindus, whatever, to become Jews to come here, and he's not really recognized as a rabbi. I mean, now they want to recognize Reformed rabbis as rabbis. Still, we have all of these things now are the forces of evil, the forces of impurity, the sitra achra, the dark side. It's all a final push, a death throw. Before the arrival and full revelation of Mashiach, the Messiah. So they will do their best to try to pollute, to taint, to undermine, because a lot of these fake conversions or fake converts, they are Christians that are still believers in Jesus. They undergo fake conversions, and then they come here and they try to intermingle with the Jews of Israel and convince them to believe in Jesus. And we caught them in the act doing this. And Asher Meza is also caught in the act doing this, making apologetics for Jesus in some sort of a twisted, weird sort of he's a convert to Orthodox Judaism, but he's referring to Jesus as in a good way, as he was this, he was that, when we all know, and we should come to terms with the fact that it's one big government propaganda project one big government, a sophisticated government operation run by the Roman Empire and by the aristocrats that were in league with the Roman Empire, ruling the Jews of Judea. They were Hellenistic Jews. And we don't have to beat this horse to death. It's already dead. We shot him a million times over. We're just, beating this dead horse. But still, that's the point I'm making. Fake converts that make their way to Israel are signing their own death warrant. Do not come here if you are not really a convert to Judaism, if you intend to missionize Jews in Israel, if you intend to illicitly in a sort of like a cloak and dagger, sort of a hidden way, whittle your way into Israeli culture and amongst the Jews and try to push Jesus. I mean, if soon enough, all the Jews of Israel and of the world will know the truth, and Jesus will be a thing of the past, and Christianity will be thrown into the waste, into the dustbin of history, and idolatry will be thrown. All the messianic prophecies will come true. All of the idolaters and all the idols and all of idolatry will be erased in due order, in post haste, real quick. When we have messianic revelation, all of that will be discarded and thrown away, thrown to the wayside, thrown into the garbage. That's why I'm calm. That's why I speak calmly now. I'm very confident in what I'm saying, because this it's felt. I feel it. It's strange. I can breathe. I have no fear, no tension. It's peculiar. But anyway. That's what the Jews should feel if they're in full faith and living in Israel. The ones living in the diaspora, you have a lot to worry about. My rabbis said this, and this is also logical, since you have problems with the defunding the police and the police becoming bitter about being blamed for everything. So they're not, in many places they're not coming to people's aid. They're not answering calls. And they're also turning against the Jews of Europe and America. The police won't come to your aid, and you'll be very vulnerable in your homes. I mean, if you find it threatening to walk outside and identify yourself as a Jew in places like France or the UK, soon enough you won't be able to leave your homes. And what my rabbi said is that they will fire on you, they will shoot at you while you are in your homes. And I repeated this message a million times over. In America, they have RPGs, they have mortars, they have explosives. That's what they're going to shoot at you in your homes and in your synagogues and in your temples. Now, I hate to be a stinker, and I hate to give you this kind of warning to you, but it's been given to you for months and years, and you insist on ignoring them and being stubborn and saying, well, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's happened so far. And nothing will happen. But God's patience, with you is running out. I think it's run out. What my rabbi said is that Hashem, the holy name, has run out of patience. He's now at the point of the phase of anger and judgment that will be, dished out. The heat is about to be delivering the heat. That's what's in the divine sense of it. I'm using light language to describe it, but it's not going to be pleasant. I mean, a reckoning and an order that of God's order, not the New World Order, the divine order, is about to make its entrance. It's about to make its grand entrance. And, I don't care if people have a chip on their shoulder, because this is the Jewish take on the Mashiach and the end times eschatology of the Jews, and not the Christians or the Muslims. I'm just delivering the message, and I'm letting you know. Do not come here if you are a fake convert. Stay in America, stay in Europe, and, take your chances there, because if you come here, you'll die. Or you'll be quickly retreating to get out of here. You won't want to be here, all right, if you're a fake convert to Judaism. And, that Asher Meza character, he's insignificant. He's just like a flea, totally neglectable, totally forgettable. All of the attempts that guy's made have been obvious.
all.
No, but he's trying to undermine Judaism. He's trying to pervert it, to taint it. He's been caught on a video making comments that were pro LGBTQ, pro Jesus, pro this, pro that. So no, thank you. Distance yourself, disassociate yourself. People of
Does he come from an Orthodox background?
he's Latino. He's Puerto Rican. He's a convert.
Well, then he has no authority. I mean,
of course he doesn't, but he claims he does. He dressed up in an Orthodox garb, then he took off that garb, he put on a cap, and he starts talking about Judaism for homosexuals. Yeah. And then he starts talking to us about Judaism that accepts and tolerates Jesus. All right, so that's more than 3 strikes. That's about 1 million strikes. Of course he is. I mean, and that's why Yaron Reuven got on his case.
How does conversions be cancelled? I mean, I know it happens.
Yeah. Well, of course, but he still pretends to be a rabbi. That's why he went to India.
Okay, so you must have support from the authorities, from the Israeli immigration authority.
Yeah, well, because here we have a corrupt, malicious government that gave Reform rabbis some sort of some authority, and that's what the subject that John was discussing that you asked me about. This is all part of the process prior to the revelation of Mashiach, where God gets involved, intervenes directly, and takes care of business. These people will not taint our faith, our identity, our history, our legacy, and our future. All right, that the fact that they're bold enough to do it in our faces, and we can't fight back or respond. Otherwise, we get accused of being.
You can fight back by calling out the idolatry and blasphemy of Christianity. You're the only Jew I know who dares to.
No, there are many in Israel. They just don't express themselves in English very well.
Well, I'm saying it has to be expressed in English, since most Christians are English speaking.
Right. Well, you have a lot of traditional right-wing Orthodox conservative Jews in Israel, believers that are not good English speakers, but they voice out their opinion against LGBTQ. We just had the Gay Pride Parade a couple of days ago in Tel Aviv again, thousands walking around in their nutsacks and S&M outfits, and children are around, and it's like just make me want to throw up. And it's just like this is where the breaking point has arrived, and this is where I make the abstract connections and connecting the dots to the wider picture of the global economy, global security teetering and faltering, global economy teetering and faltering, and all the health crises that are reemerging again. Make the connections, people. All right, we have reached the breaking point. God is getting involved. He will soon make his appearance.
God will not be mocked.
No, but you won't see his face. But it will be just the same as Mount Sinai. You will know that it's the hand of God working. That's what my rabbi said. A day will come, and Israel's government and all of Israel and the world will know that it's not the hand of man, it's the hand of God. It's not going to be some hoax or it's going to be worldwide and global. I mean, something beyond man's capacity. It will be so dramatic that no man in his right mind will say that this is some trick, some hoax, some false flag nonsense. Although people are lean in that direction because we're so skeptical nowadays, as we should be. We don't believe, and that's a good thing as far as not believing the establishment, not believing mainstream media, not believing the oligarchs, not believing the power structures. That I'm all in favor of that. But there will come an event and a day that will overwhelm all of us, and we will all know that it's God's direct intervention and God getting involved directly, the revelation of the Mashiach, and from then on, we will live in a new world.
But do you think that this satanic attempt to confuse us in our identity. So in the
Yeah.
case of humanity, Jews are now, because they're now told that Reform Judaism is acceptable,
Right.
they'll be confused. Jews and Gentiles will actually be confused of which side of the line they're on, and as far as atheists are concerned, they might, if they're thinking ahead, be concerned about men and women not being able to define what is a man or a woman.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to say, Claire, but a lot of this nonsense will be swept aside by the hand of God again. I'm getting on my pulpit here. I'm getting on my soapbox. And my rabbi used the same example and model. He said prior to the flood and the community in which Noah had lived and had built his ark realized what was about to happen. They all of a sudden came to their senses, and the rains began and the flooding began, and it's true. They wanted, this is according to biblical accounts, they wanted to rush the ark in the thousands, if not 100,000, a lot, and God just killed all of them. He just, in order to not have them get in the way or interfere or stop Noah. That's what's happening as far as the ones that are obstinate and stubborn, and when the time comes and they want to interfere, and when we have messianic revelation and there are people that dare resist, interfere, or put up a fight, I mean, it's a joke. I mean, people don't realize what they're going to be up against. This is the hand of God directly. I mean, they will not. There's no chance in a million years in hell that they can win. They will all be done away with. I'm sorry. It's like a mass, a culling of these people. They will submit or die. And if you have a lot of these people that are stubborn, arrogant, full of themselves, egoists, pretending like their pride and ego won't allow them to submit. They'll put up a fight. They'll die. I mean, that's the same thing as what happened with the flood in Noah's ark, and that account. That's what my rabbi described. If once we have messianic revelation and people are not in a state of submission and humility, and accepting God's will and God's direct intervention and the word of the Messiah and what the Messiah decides, because it's God working through the Messiah. If they don't submit, a lot are going to die. A lot are going to be put to death. A lot are just going to be wiped out.
How is one to submit?
Basically, when this happens and when this event arrives, you cannot indulge in sexual deviance. You're going to die if you do that. No sodomy, no pedophilia, no zoo animals, no bestiality, obviously. None of that stuff can fly anymore. No adultery. None of that is going to fly. I mean, all the subjects that you harp on, that you obsess over, seeing how Western society in the world has devolved and degenerated and become depraved and indecent and sick. There's a reason that is happening. We're peaking with that because that must happen. That must occur in order for there to be a reason for God to get involved and for the Messiah to be revealed. Because the stench of it all creates it bothers the heavens. It creates such a nuisance. It creates such a disturbance. God and the heavenly host and the spiritual realm, it affects it so much that it induces, it compels God to release to reveal the Messiah and to get involved, to have direct divine intervention. So in a way, that's written about in the Kabbalah and in our Bible, that we would reach this level of depravity in society in the world, and it will be the purpose that God and requires for him to get involved directly when he can no longer stand. Just the same as what happened with the generation of the flood. I mean, he gave them time. He gave them time to repent, and then the depravity that they indulged in was so severe to the point where he had to wipe them all out. We're facing something very similar to that, and it's not going to be again a flood. It's not going to be the culling of the entire world's population. Like you asked, what will be required in order to survive it? I'd say humility, submission, basically not tolerating any of this stuff anymore. LGBTQ plus is going to be gone. I mean, a lot of them will die off, but if they insist in the face of God, in the face of messianic revelation, in the face of when the Messiah is functioning and operating, to continue on doing this stuff, they'll either be killed by the people around them or they'll just die off real quick. There won't be the possibility and the opportunity to be wicked and sinful and to be rebellious anymore. It's like the snake, the primordial snake. When we have messianic revelation, is put to death, is slaughtered. It's like the forces of evil are put to death. It's final, it's permanent. And then when you have the residuals of it in people, and they don't fight it, and they continue succumbing to it or giving into it, they'll die. They'll die of diseases, or they'll die by God's decree, or they'll die by the hands of others that are fearful of God, that will put them to death in order that they should not be condemned, that their family should not be condemned. They won't have any tolerance for it at all. That's the world we're going into. I mean, it's going to be very difficult and traumatic and shocking for a lot of people that have grown accustomed to thinking that they can get away with anything and that there's no God. And that's going to be their humbling. All right. That's how messianic revelation works. And I know that all of your frustrations with trying to find a solution to all these problems by speaking about it intellectually and sorting it out and arguing and debating and trying to make sense of it and trying to offer solutions. I told you it's a valiant effort, and that's the right direction to go in. But at the end of the day, we can. That's too overwhelming. There's too many of them, and they're too impossible. They're deranged. A lot of people have been made sick and ill and twisted and sick. And you can't cure them. You can't help them. There will have to be a reckoning. There will have to be a divine reckoning. All right, and that's where it's heading. And because of what my rabbi said, that God has descended, it's a tremendous advancement or progress in the process. It's a tremendous statement to make. I'll find it and I'll translate it for you because it was profound when I heard it. It brought me to this calm, and it's not just because he said it; it's because I feel it. I truly feel it. Here, another rabbi is repeating it. Sofi dana bilbul ve'sinat chinam. Anyway, it's like it's the end of the time of wonderment or the confusion found in the book of Daniel about what will happen at the end of days when we reach the end of wonderment. Here, I'm putting the link. You can play this. It's a short few minutes. And I'll translate it for you, and I'll translate the title. You could take us off screen and make it full screen with my rabbi speaking in Hebrew, and I'll translate it, and we'll let the people know what he's saying and what it means.
Mm-hmm. Gosh. So, I mean, what do you think is the quickest way of propagating the message? I mean, I think a lot of people are disturbed even if they don't believe in God. And the atheists are constantly harping on about Jews and
Right.
Muslims. So, even though they want to deny the existence of God, they can't really, because they're complaining about people who have a religion and which they don't. And that's why everything is going wrong, and why the laws are so crazy.
Well, you know what they said in the Talmud? They said Chochmat Chachamim Yisrach, or Chochmat Talmidei Torah Tisrach. It's like truth and knowledge and wisdom of the learned ones that are like Torah scholars or people that are genuine in wanting to correct the sad state of affairs we're living in this time period, this age. Their knowledge will rot. Basically, it won't get propagated on the level it should get propagated, meaning it's not a losing battle. It's not like something we shouldn't partake in, but just so you know, our voice is not going to be heard by the masses. And it's meant to be this way, that our message won't get propagated as wide and far as we would like. That's God will propagate his message very soon by shocking the world into submission. It's shock and awe and of the ultimate variety, not to be facetious about it, not to be funny. I'm not making jokes, but it's said that the knowledge and wisdom of learned people that are good, that have good intentions, that want to bring back morality to the world, their knowledge will rot. It will rot. It won't get heard. It will rot. Meaning, all of our attempts, all the rabbis, all of the even ministers, whoever that want to try to correct all the immorality and bring the world back to some straight and narrow path, their efforts won't bear the kind of fruit we would like. It makes an impact.
Nobody is really saying it, though, are they? I mean, I really don't think that the Christians are going to care unless they understand that it's idolatry, and they're crazy for pretending to believe that Jesus is God, which they don't really believe, and I don't think they do. They're just pretending to believe to annoy Jews and Muslims.
Right. Well, their pride is going to be shattered very soon, whether they're genuine believers or not. And that's why I have calm instilled in me. I'm very confident, and I'm very sure of myself in what I'm saying. And we've done enough of the research, and we've delved into it. And thanks to Joseph Atwell and his books and his appearances and all the things, the light that he's shed on the matter, he fulfilled prophecy. You got to give that man credit. Him and people like him fulfilled biblical prophecy. It's amazing that we witnessed it, that we partook in it, whether we were interested in and listening to it. It's said in our prophecies that the idolaters would come to the Jews, the Christians would come to the Jews, apologize to them, and tell them that our God is a false God and our religion is a false religion. And in a way, Joseph Atwell did that in a very clear and concise way.
But by denying the existence of the man that they worship as the co-equal of the God of Israel.
Yeah. And also by dissecting it so thoroughly and so elegantly and so meticulously in a sophisticated way, him and people like him and scholars like him, that like Rod Blackhurst and all the others that appeared in the Caesar's Messiah documentary, and his Acharya S. and all the well-known scholars and researchers. I forgot the chubby Englishman's name. Anyway, there's a chubby Englishman that's very kind of like a nice English intellectual, pleasant man.
What does he say? I mean, I'm sorry. What does he say? This chubby Englishman?
I'll find it for you. Just give me a second. But can you play that video, my rabbi's video?
Okay.
A couple of minutes, and I'll find this video from.
It's in Hebrew, though, isn't it? It's not.
I'll translate it for people, just so they know that it came from him, not from me.
Okay.
What are the Gospels?
All right. Anytime you're ready. Okay, cool. I'll mute.
Yes, my computer's very slow, but I've done all the things I need to do, but it's just being a bit slow.
Oh, there. Okay, all right.
Okay. I'll put the sound on and then I'll play it. It's only 6 minutes, people.
לדעת מה זה יהדות, להפסקת התבוללות.
No more intermarriage.
הקו היהודי, כי זה משפט לא לחינם. מי שרוצה לחיות, זה הכיוון.
Those that want to live, that's the direction. No assimilation, no intermarriage.
עוד מוסיף בורא עולם לשמור על מדינת ישראל. לשמור על מדינת ישראל. לשמור על מדינת ישראל. על אדמת הקודש. על פיסת סנטימטר אחד אדמה.
Don't surrender any land, any part of the land of Israel. You can fast forward it a little bit to the point where he says that God is descended already. Somewhere like in the middle. All right. All right. Stop. It's the end of an age of the end of the age of confusion, the end of the age of wonderment, as is written in the book of Daniel. It's compelling the Jews to defend and protect the land of Israel, to show effort and to show their passion and love for the land, and being zealous and jealous for the land. So we'll have messianic revelation regardless. But this is the final sort of like act or gesture that the Jews have to show, and they will benefit from it. But basically, keep on playing it. You go ahead. You can keep playing.
זה מה שביקש בורא עולם, דברים גדולים מערך עד אין סוף. דברים פשוטים שיש בהם הכל. זה רציני מאוד.
It's very serious. This is what God wants. It's what God is demanding. This is directly from the you know, is God speaking here. So you could go ahead and keep on playing.
להתחיל לפעול. בורא עולם מתמקד על מדינת ישראל, נתן לשמיים ולארץ לפרק את הממשלה, עכשיו בורא עולם בכבודו בעצמו יורד לפרק אותם.
Stop. All right, so he's saying God, the Creator, has given instructions that this government should fall apart and this coalition should fall apart as part of the precondition for messianic revelation. And now he said that God himself, in his full honor and glory, is descending upon the earth and upon Israel to break this coalition apart, to break this government apart. It's not some it's not some minute thing. It's not some obscure, meaningless thing. This was written about, that we would have this kind of government prior to Mashiach. It's again a fulfillment of prophecy. We would have this kind of malicious government that would be, a real burden upon the Jews of Israel, and it would threaten our sovereignty, our identity, and doing all this harm. And it's written about in the Talmud that it would last for 9 months. It's been now a year, and God's calculations and measures, I don't question them. Whatever time He's given, an extra time, an extension, it doesn't matter. but their mission has been completed. Their job, their purpose has been met. They were brought about to create more cohesion amongst the Jews, both from the left and the right, to realize and have a better understanding of what the real threats are and what we should really be fighting for. They were meant to, by way of the hard way, by way of the whip, by way of the lashes that we receive from them, because they're so corrupt and so vile and so unbearable and so in-your-face arrogant and such liars and such deceivers. It's like, people have been suffering both on the left and right from this government, and this was God's hand putting them and still installing them there, allowing them to do all these things, even though He didn't want it. It's very complicated. God gives everyone a chance to correct and repent and turn away and to fix, and not to indulge. He gave them warnings before they even were sworn in last year into office. A big freaking man, not a manhole, like an earth, what do you call that? Sinkhole opened up in Jerusalem on the day that from the chapter of Korach and his minions or his council, Korach, that opposed Moses, and the earth opened up and swallowed him. So that happened just when they were sworn into office. It was a clear message to them that they should turn away from their evil plans or their designs, to compromise us at all costs just to have this stupid government. And so there's something very deep and very dramatic about this government, that God is coming down to totally destroy this government Himself directly. All right. Thank you there, Peter North. I like your work, but I'm turning away from that. Even though in America I grew up on that stuff. Americans are perverts. What can you do? We're all like porn. We're swimming in porn. We're like saturated, porn saturated. That's not the evil rabbi. It's the rabbi. Yeah, and go ahead and keep on playing him. Yeah.
ולשלם לכל אחד כתגמולו, בטוב ובפחות טוב. יכולים להקליט, לרשום, לזכור, להסתכל על זה, לשמוע את זה עוד פעם ועוד פעם.
Record this, watch this.
עכשיו זה יקרה, והתחיל לקרות מעכשיו.
Watch it happen. You can play it in normal speed, just the last few minutes. So he's saying, everything he said over the years has all been true. It's all come to pass. Some of it happens, after a time. Some of it happens after months. Some after years. And some of it goes unnoticed, and some of it is under the radar. But it manifests eventually. It's all for the benefit of the people of the world, and for the Jews of the world, and for the Jews of Israel. God is very kind and merciful, letting people know what's happening, what He plans, what He's intending to do. And now He's saying, this is going to be soon. This is not something we'll have to wait a long time for. God has descended, and He's getting involved directly. This is prior to Messianic revelation. Keep playing.
ייגמר כל סוף העידן של הבלבולים ושל השנאת חינם ושל כל ההפרעות של היהודים, והכאב הנוראי של עם ישראל יפסיק לעולמים.
Stop. All right, so the end of the... You can wait, check, and see, but what he's saying, what he's declaring is that the end of suffering, the end of the suffering of the Jewish people has arrived, the end of confusion, the end of wonderment, the end of questions. When God gets involved directly, that's a finality, that's totality, that's absolute. That's no more questions, that's no more confusion. This is like the ultimate destination. He said when it happens, there will be Jews that are not in the know, that are not religious, not believers, not they didn't expect, they weren't in a state of anticipation, they were ignoring all of this, and they will be confused. They'll say, "Who's that? Is that the Messiah?" And then and they won't know what's really happening, and they won't enjoy the process because they'll be caught off guard, and there's going to be a lot of pain involved in it. But the people, the Jews that have been believers, that have been anticipating this for many years, we are reincarnations of our ancestors, so it's been hundreds and thousands of years. But the ones that are living today that have been anticipating this and waiting forward to this for decades now, he says we'll be jumping off the walls. We'll be jumping off. We'll be, in joy. Sheer sort of joy and well, give me a good word there, Claire, for when you're in happy. Another fancy English term. Yeah, thank you, Claire. You got the exact word I was looking for. Sheer ecstasy. That's it. So that's what you have to look forward to if you're a believer, and you know that this is what's on the way. So I'm going to be dropping on my knees. I'm going to be in sheer ecstasy, but in tears. It's like this has been agonizing. This has been years in the making. This has been, like pulling teeth. This has been gnawing at me. This has been eating my heart up. Suffering a lot of also isolation, and not being understood, and being having not being fully engaged with other people, and living with this feeling like I'm not being understood, and others are confused by me, even family members or people, close friends, or anybody that I engaged with. For many years, they looked at me cross-eyed, and they looked at me as though I was mad. And, it's painful. It's not easy to endure that, and you can tell that I'm a well-spoken person, that I'm articulate, but I'm not as articulate in Hebrew. So I come off sounding, less intelligent. And so my case and my arguments don't have as much of an impact when I attempt it in Hebrew. So, and this is my immediate environment, and these are the people that I'm living with. So I ended up isolating myself and living in loneliness and self-isolation, even though I have my family, I have my son and everything. It was unbearable. I mean, it's like maybe it was destined to be this way. Maybe I was supposed to endure this kind of experience and suffer it. Maybe it was my correction. I had sometimes people that are big sinners, they get put into isolation in order that they should heal, from I think from all the indulgences. What I'm referring to. So
yes, isolation maybe causes contemplation,
right,
reflection.
Yeah, but it also is painful. It's suffering. It's like being misunderstood, being confused. Having people be confused by you, having people come to the wrong conclusions about you.
Or just deliberately misunderstand you because they don't like where it's going.
Right. And so, I mean, now it's easier for me because the phenomenon around the world only strengthens my case and strengthens my arguments, even though people still don't like to hear it. And still people can give me like dirty looks, and I leave them speechless, or they don't want to talk about these things because it's too much. It's too scary. It's too it's too heavy. But it's not my concern anymore because I lost patience a long time ago. I'm not like God. I'm not God, and I don't have eternal patience, and I don't have the will and the ability to put up with people's ignorance or lack of interest. That's why I disconnected. That's why I disassociated. That's why I distanced myself from mainstream culture here, from the common people. And I did this for a very long time, and it was very painful because it's like I disconnected myself from society here, from mainstream culture and society. It's like I didn't want to interact with them because I knew it would only end up with me being frustrated by them, and with me scaring them, or with me giving them the impression that I'm crazy. So I did this by way of friends like you, like John, like Vaughn, like other people that I talk to, like also commenting and comment boards and putting in my 2 cents in. And many years that I was engaged with Alex Jones, and I know I had an influence on him. And so I did my part, but it was in isolation. It was in a way of being anonymous, and in a way of being behind the scenes, without drawing too much heat to myself. And also because I'm a sensitive person, I don't like face-to-face conversations where I leave the impression on people that I'm crazy. It makes me feel bad. It makes me feel frustrated, And so this has been ongoing for many years,
How many years?
I mean, it's been since, who knows, 2008, 2009, since the crash, since that big crash, since when all of these rumors and all this talk and speculation about, money losing its value and having, a worldwide, financial calamity and crash. Those were the first tremors, the first major tremors. But and then there was also a lot of anticipation within religious communities here in Israel and abroad, because we all know that this is a major sign. It's written of that there would be a global, worldwide financial collapse. And my rabbi said Mashiach involves hitmotitut, collapse of many sort of institutions and systems. That's what it entails. So John can say, in a funny way, sort of like humorous, that I have a syringe full of end times juice in it that I want to, plunge it into my jugular and like, just shoot up on this high of like, oh, thank God it's over. Thank God we finally reached the end of it. But it's horrible to say these things because it cause a lot of people to suffer tremendously. But how long can you wait? It's either I'm going to continue suffering in isolation and frustration and thinking that and making people think that I'm out of my mind insane, or that this thing is going to happen and then I'm going to get some relief. But I'm feeling the relief now. I'm feeling the burden, the weight being taken off of me, off of my back, off of my chest, because I know what's about to happen. It's for the benefit and for the good of all of humanity, but for the Jews that are in Israel first, all right? And the Jews in the diaspora, because of their stubbornness and their insistence on not believing, they will be brought here in pain and agony, traumatized, and then their lives will improve after a year or two of having to pay their dues and living in tents and shacks, refugee camps. I'll be here to welcome you and to basically show you to your tents in the refugee tent cities and all over Israel. So I'll be. What's the word?
You have tent cities in Israel.
Say what?
You have tent cities in Israel, like in San Francisco.
What is this?
Did you say you have tent cities?
Tents? Oh no, not like hobo tent cities, like what you find in what you found in Syria or refugee camps where you'll have like big tents for refugees. I'll be sort of like accompanying them, showing them around. I'll be a liaison for them. This is what I see in my future because I speak the language. I know their minds. I speak the Hebrew. I know the country. And it's going to be on an official, official position that I know I'll be taking, because I spoke to my rabbi and my rabbi's secretary. They said, we'll have a use for you. We'll need you. You'll have a position. And it's going to be a good one because it's going to help them to settle. It's going to help them to, and it's for the benefit of the country, that all the Jews should return. The third temple will be built. It's going to be joyous. It's going to be ecstatic. It's going to be beautiful. For them, it'll be very traumatic and painful. It'll be, sort of like a dramatic and sort of like also a loss for them. So they'll have to eat. They'll have to eat that. They'll have to swallow that because they failed in their faith. They failed to do things in a preventive way, or in a sort of like precautionary. They didn't fully accept all these warnings, so they'll have to end up, doing it the hard way. And for all those Jews in America and Canada and Europe that did come here in time, that are here in Israel, God bless you and congratulations to you. And you did the right thing. And even if you're having a hard time in Israel now, adjusting and assimilating, just know that you did the best thing for yourself, and you spared yourself the pain and agony of having to be kicked out of those countries and kicked in the butt, penniless and threatened, with having your lives threatened, living under violence, and having to be forced back here in shame, with no dignity, without your dignity intact. And all those that are still procrastinating over there, I don't know. I can't say how much time you have left, but we know, again, I'm going back to the financial intrigues and the war intrigues. It's all interconnected. There will come a day when you'll have a banking crisis, credit freezes, no access to your money, and you'll be trapped, and you'll have to be rescued, and you'll have to find, you'll be leaving your homes and your possessions behind you in fear of your life. You'll be running away from death and the threat of death. That's what my rabbi said, this Rabbi Nir Ben-Artzi. Let's listen to the rest of what he has to say. And yeah.
Okay.
מה שדובר פה עכשיו.
It's very serious, he's saying, what's being spoken of here.
תקום ממשלה חזקה עם משיח צדקנו, בן דוד.
Stop.
עם ישראל.
There will arise a strong government together with the Messiah to start fixing things, correcting things. The nation of Israel, continue playing. That's what he's saying here now.
יפסיקו לסבול.
So stop. The Jews of Israel, the nation of Israel, will stop suffering. It's the end of the epoch, or the period, or the of confusion, the era, the age of, it's been many years in the making. Continue playing.
של הבלבולים. יתמקד לשורשים של היהודים, לא להתבולל עוד.
Stop. Connect to your Jewish roots. Do not intermarry anymore. Do not assimilate anymore. Those that are married to non-Jews, whether it's a man married to a non-Jewish woman or a Jewish woman married to a non-Jewish man, make every effort to convert them now before it's too late. Continue playing.
ולשמור על מדינת ישראל, על החוקים ועל המשפטים, והשופטים יצטרכו ללכת ביושר ובאמת, כי הכל בורא עולם ירד פה לעולם הזה.
Stop. Okay. He's saying the creator of the universe has descended down to this place now, and everyone will start having to make amends, retribution, repentance, for all the evil that they've done. They'll have to pay one way or another. And he was referring to the judges of Israel, the court system in Israel that's corrupt and bought out. He said that you will have to pay. You'll have to repent for all the damage you've done. And yeah, he's basically saying about the intermarried couples, the Jews that are married to non-Jews. They will the fate of these couples, if they do not convert their spouses, whether male or female, is that they'll be separated, and some of them won't survive it. Again, it sounds dramatic, it sounds like outlandish, it sounds severe, but that's how it's going to be. I mean, there's not going to be any more mixed marriages, marrying into Gentile, nations. All the Jews will ingather to Israel. It will be a full and complete correction of all of history, and justice for the Jews as far as Israel is concerned. This doesn't sound good to a lot of the diaspora Jews. They've gotten used to, again, I'm harping on this, they've gotten used to their lives in the exile, in the diaspora. But submission will require them. That's also part of their struggle and their challenge, is that they will have to submit to the will of God. And so far, they haven't submitted to his will. They've made only excuses as to why not to come back here. But they will be forced to come back here penniless and humiliated, and then they'll know that it's their fault. And because they refused to submit, they refused to humble themselves, they made excuses. And this includes rabbis, Orthodox rabbis, pious people, religious people. It doesn't matter. They struggled against God, against God's will, against what God was telling them to do for years. And this didn't happen. This wasn't just from yesterday till today. This has been for decades now, since the founding of the state. But recently, since the crash in 2008, since 9/11, since many events, decades worth of warnings and signs that the Jews should ingather. But they want to hold on to their Gentile-like existence, their heathen-like existence with the Gentiles, intermingling, intermarrying, assimilating. All that is going to stop. This is where a stop is going to be put to it. This is where God has had enough. This is where his patience has run out with the Jews, because this is what led to the Holocaust. All this intermarriage and assimilation and losing themselves and becoming whatever, idolaters, just to fit in, just to succeed, just to live the good life in Europe or in America. And this is what a lot of the Christian priests and Christian evangelicals or ministers or missionaries were counting on. And even some Arab Muslims and Arabs here, they're happy about this, to see the Jews losing themselves amongst the nations, intermarrying and destroying their identity, destroying their faith. It brings pleasure to them. They enjoy it. They think that they're winning. But this is where it stops. This is where it ends. This is where the flood begins, and all the thousands and hundreds of thousands that want to get in the way all die. You can't stop this process. Go ahead and play.
לעשות סדר לכל אחד יקבל את התגמול שלו, הטוב ופחות טוב.
Stop. God will bring an order to things. Everyone will get what they deserve, what they merited, both good and bad. And this is the final redemption, the final judgment of all of humanity. It's the conclusion to what would you call the period of grace that the Christians call the period of grace. You know how they title their time in the limelight. It's about to end. It's ending. And it's palatable. That's why Christianity is on the decline. And Islam will be humbled because it also has adopted Christianity into it. Again, I told you that. Yes, because it has many chapters there in the Quran that not just validate, but sort of like what's the word for when you give certain respect? It starts with a V.
Venerate.
Venerate. Thank you. You're super smart there, Claire, with the English. Thank you. So Islam venerates the mother of Jesus and Mary, and it venerates Jesus. You know, it sort of makes a lot of compromises with Christianity in order
just to get them into the fold, I suppose. Right, if they're really rude about Jesus and Mary, then the Christians will run away. But if they say we accept the virgin birth and Jesus was a prophet of God, but he's not divine, that's kind of squares a circle, I guess.
It squares a circle for Islam as far as politics are concerned, as far as having an opening to let Christians enter through in order to make their transition into Islam more bearable, more acceptable. But it's an instrument. It's a machination. It's artificial. I mean, if whether Muslims believe in it or not, whether they honestly venerate Jesus and Mary, it doesn't make a difference, because we know what those things are. They're not real people. They're not real characters. They're literary characters. They're not historical figures. They never existed. It's all news.
Does it matter even if it was all made up? Because the thing was,
yes, it does. It's not true. Claire, it's false. It's a lie. In the time of messianic revelation and God's revelation, there will be no lies, no machinations, no pretenses, especially when it concerns God and the nature of God and God's identity, and having this horse shit in the way. That's what is about to end, and it should end. And that's why I say Islam will be humbled, because it adopted this crap from Christianity and wanted to modify it and still venerate Jesus as a prophet and the mother of Jesus. So the Muslims will get their humbling as well, because they adopted horse shit in order to have the Christians have an opening to enter Islam. That has to be done away with. Can you understand the significance of not playing games, not lying, not misusing history, abusing history, creating false gods, and then modifying their identity and it's demoting them from gods to holy figures? It's all hooey. It's horse shit. It's garbage. It's shit. It should be utterly done away with. And that's why Islam needs to humble itself. It will be humbled.
But what about the point on idolatry? I mean, you don't even need to go to the story of, whether Jesus existed or not. Even if he didn't, the Christians behaved as if he is God. And
Right.
that is enough, because, I mean, there is a debate between Christians and Muslims about whether Jesus even, whether he was guilty of blasphemy, because according to Matthew, according to the trial of the Sanhedrin, he was found guilty.
But honestly, Claire, in retrospect, it's all semantics now. It has no real sort of foundation, or it has no real basis. It has no real weight to it. It has no real import. It has no meaning. It has nothing. All the debating over it, 2,000 years of killing and murdering in the name of this Jebus and that Jebus, and Jebus was a prophet, and Jebus was the son of God, and Jebus was this, and Jebus was that. Do you realize that end times requires the end of all of this horse shit and all this back and forth between Muslims and Christians and Muslims and Jews and Christians and Jews about Jesus? Jesus has to be buried and put in the ground permanently forever and tossed in the garbage forever. That horse shit has to die. It's not just Christian idolatry. I wouldn't call it a compromise, a Muslim compromise with Christian idolatry. I'd call it manipulating and lying. I'd call it deceiving. I'd call it deception. History, hundreds of years, centuries long deceptions coming from both Islam and Christianity about Jesus. The relevance of finding out who and what that thing is for both Christians and Muslims is humiliating. And they have to swallow that bitter pill. They will have to swallow that bitter pill. It's devastating to Christianity, but it also humbles Islam. It raises questions about the validity of the Quran and the claims about the Quran. Oh, Richard, here, I remember this guy on Tovia Singer. He made a lot of great comments, I remember. He called the Gospels like a cheap political pamphlet. I remember, I think it was you who made this commentary. It was very witty, very, very clever. He put it together in such a way, this one person that I remember, I think it's Richard, that it's so cheap, it's so tacky, it's so see-through. I mean, and how it managed to survive just with the backing of the royals and the state, the backing of the power elite, the oligarchs, the whole power structure, and forcing this garbage down people's throats for centuries, claiming it was for their own good and for the benefit of society. It kept everything together, but it kept the kings and queens in control. It kept remind me how Atwell phrased it, the divine right of kings. It kept that institution in place for centuries. So the dishonesty and injustice of that should just be ignored. No, there is no more compromising with this false idol, this false god. Both don't want those of us without a religion joining them. It's cultural. Both Muslims and Jews don't want those of us without a religion joining them. It's like, honestly, Richard, it's like having to deal with it, not just the religious deception, not just the horror and the injustice of it for centuries. Realizing this is just as harsh for Jews and Muslims as it is for Christians. I mean, Christians bow down and worship Jesus, but we have been victims of Jesus and Christianity. All right. And then to realize the true story about what was done, that it's all a ruse, that it's all a government scheme, that it's all propaganda, that it's all an operation, psychological operation. All of it is politics. All of it is manufactured. And the true source, its true spiritual source, is satanic and evil. The Caesars of Rome, the oligarchs of their day, the Jewish Hellenistic aristocrats, the sellouts, the traitors, that all of that has taken form in one way or another throughout the centuries, and we're still dealing with it. It has to be discarded. There is no compromising with it. There is no playing games with it, Claire, whether it's the Muslim Jeebus and Mary or not. That has to be utterly discarded and thrown into the garbage. That's compromising with idol worship. That's compromising with Greco-Roman idolatry, just in order to invite the Christians in and give them an opening and an easy transition into Islam. And I understand that function. I understand that methodology, but Muslims revere and venerate Jesus to this day.
I know,
and
it's annoying.
Yeah.
But well, I suppose, I mean, there was a political reason for it. But anyway, I don't have to respect Jesus as a secular Qur'anist, so I'm
all right. Good for you. That's why we see eye to eye. I'm not fighting. I didn't offend you, and I didn't attack you, and because I know that you know this stuff. But Muslims get offended when I say that if I take the Caesar's Messiah position on Jesus, they will get offended.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying there's a flaw in Islam, and Islam will also be humbled by this.
Well,
but it's not, Elliot. Look, Elliot, my dear friend in San Francisco, and the San Francisco treats. I left my heart in San Francisco, and anyway, I know where you're coming from, Elliot. All right, I'm not trying to be fire and brimstone. All right, it's just I'm doing what they say in Hebrew is nituach. I'm doing surgery here. I'm doing a surgical analysis. I'm not laying down fire and brimstone and what the Christians call the Old Testament God of fury and how they like to, exaggerate things. Is a to Christians nation, but it's not exact, no, but it's not identical because Christians stole everything from the Jews. All of our concepts, all of our expectations, they modified it, they perverted it, they altered it, and they adapted it to Jesus. It doesn't mean that it's moot or negated or should be tossed aside because of Christianity. And that's what I felt in America because of Christianity and Christians and Jesus. It's like, what are you doing hijacking my faith and my beliefs and modifying it in order to prop up the Jesus? I'm not going to let them, when I was in America, it's like you have all these Christian Bible beaters preaching to me about my prophets. And it's like the nerve. How dare you? It's like you want to not only hijack and take my book from me and my faith and my legacy and my people's history and turn it on its head and change things around so it suits your interests, and then have me negate my beliefs or turn away from my beliefs and accept your readaptation and your reinterpretations of my beliefs. That's why I'm no longer there. I'm not going to let those people do that to me, Elliot, and you shouldn't either. If how it works in America with missionaries and Bible beaters. They always like to talk down to the Jews as if they have the proper interpretation, the proper version of our Bible to provide to us. Arrogant, idiotic, ignorant, stupid people that will never be able to get away with this anymore because it's going to be resolved very soon for good and forever. All right. So And I know the liberal Jews, they like to use the guilt tripping, and I know the minds of American Jews and liberal Jews in America. The shtick is over, my dear friend. It's over, Elliot. You know, realize what's about to happen. All right, you'll learn the hard way. The cities of America are condemned. They're gonna go into fucking Mad Max world soon, and it's not an exaggeration. What's this guy? What's Mengele saying? Wasn't in the Christians who liberated Jews? He always likes to go back to this bullshit. But asshole, it was Christians that put them there in the first place, asshole. Who fucking put them there in the first place? Am I right or wrong, Claire? What the fuck? What kind of fucking point are you trying to make, Mengele? All right. I care about where Jews chose to live. Because, my dear exiled Jew with a Goyish mind, with my Galus mind, this is thousands of years in the making. It's a promise found in our Bible that the Jews will be brought back, ingathered. It's in the prophets. It's all over our Bible. That the Jews should be dispersed into that they should be used as representatives to represent God and His holy name and the Word of God and all this. For a time, only for a time, until the end. And if you're not a believer in this, I have, God help you and good luck to you. But this is the process that we have entered, Elliot, and there's no fighting it. I mean, you should be figuring this out now. All this pressure that's being put on you is being put on you for a reason. All right. If you want to ignore it at your own peril. When this event arrives of economic crisis and banking crisis, and everybody knows this is not hyperbole, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not making this stuff is now mainstream. It's all over Fox News, Peter Schiff, and it's no longer fringe, it's no longer fear mongering and fear porn. We know this is what's happening, this is what's coming. Can you imagine losing the value of your savings, your checking, your investments, your home prices becoming worthless, your home's not having any material, not material, fiscal value, and people are indebted up to their eyeballs in America, and everybody's living on credit on their credit cards in America. How much longer can you ignore this? And they're all gonna gang up on you. All of the Gentiles are gonna gang up on the Jews, blaming the Jews. You're gonna be shut in your homes, sheltering in your homes, and they're gonna be shooting at you. And there's no police. Defund the police, and the police are bitter about being blamed for being racists or whatever. So everything is going to become apocalyptic and anarchical, And why does God care? Because this is a divine reckoning. He's the one who dispersed the Jews throughout the entire world. And this is mentioned in the book of not Hosea. It's not in Joel. It's in one of the books. I forget which prophet, but it says there that I will disperse you. And this was even told to Abraham, that your children will be dispersed throughout the world. And then they will be brought back. They will be brought back in the end times for the Messianic age. To ask this kind of question, I mean, it seems innocent, but it's not. It's one of these manipulative, rhetorical questions, because, Elliot, if you're an educated person, if you're a learned person, you have the answer to that question. It's a promise of God in our Bible, in our book, that we should be brought back, all of us, ingathered to the land, to live under Messianic rule and enjoy the age of Messianic rule. Christians aren't there more simple earthly explanations for those? Dear Elliot, okay, now I feel like it's like I'm in California, sitting in some Starbucks cafe, talking to my dear American Jew, making all these whiny excuses and arguments. It's like I'm talking to Larry David in some coffee shop. Elliot, stop it, please, Elliot. If you have a hard time, I know you have a hard time, but it's no longer in our hands. I mean, time is up. You can talk about earthly explanations for all these things, but God is about to make himself known, and he has been making himself known. And if you lack, I don't know what your story is. Are you like assimilated? Are you half Jewish, part Jewish? Have you ever been to temple? Are you fully secular? Are you 100%?
I think his father's Jewish, but not his mother. I think that's
that's an issue there, Elliot. It's an issue. All right. I mean, that's a problem. You might be staying in America. I mean, in your case, if your mom is not Jewish, I'm sorry to tell you that, it's just that's the case. You're not Jewish, but you're born in you're in a Jewish family, but spiritually and your essence isn't Jewish. So you might be better off staying over there in America, there, Elliot. Sorry, but what should Gentiles do? Very good. This is according to my rabbi. This is what he's proposed, and I'm proposing the same thing. For your own benefit, and for your own future and your well-being and your future prosperity. When the time arrives and the Jews have no excuses left, they no longer have any excuses left. They're caught, they're trapped, they're sort of like Claire, I need your expertise. What is it when they're stranded? They're like on a desert island. They're like they can't leave.
Marooned.
They're marooned. Thank you very much. Richard, what should Gentiles do? Gentiles should make every effort to help all of those Jews that are trapped in America or Canada or Europe leave. For your own good, for their own good, get them out of there. Don't delay them. Obviously, they're going to be pursued by a lot of animals that are going to be very bitter towards them. A lot of them will be killed. A lot of them will have their bones broken. I'm not asking you to protect them or defend them. It's just what's going to happen. The best thing that the Gentiles can do in Canada, America, South America, Europe, where have you, is help as urgently and quickly as possible to airlift them out of those countries to Israel. Give them, they won't be taking many of their possessions with them. They'll be with their shirts on their backs and some luggage, what have you. They'll be refugees. If you can, I know your situations, the Gentiles, they're living in the diaspora, living in the world. They'll be faced with great dilemmas of their own. You'll have issues of also how to feed yourselves and how to secure yourselves. Everybody will be in a state of Mad Max, shit hit the fan, protect yourself, security, feed your family, be very concerned about your well-being, your survival. But the best thing you can do is that if you run across Jews, help them leave, convince them that they should leave. They shouldn't dilly-dally over there. They shouldn't try to survive what's coming in the exile. The best way to make this whole thing pass as quickly as possible and to restabilize all of the planet, to restabilize the world, is to help all the Jews of the world gather into Israel. This is God's will. This is what God is asking and requiring of the nations and of the Gentiles. My rabbi said this throughout the years many times over. He was pleading with the Gentiles. Kick them out. He was even saying this because it got so frustrated with them. I know that, Elliot is not Jewish. His father's Jewish. All right. So it's not about God. No, he's not wearing anything. He's not going to be a human being in clothing or appearing in clothes or wearing anything. It's not like a Hollywood movie, Elliot. But it will be. I'll tell you the day that's known as the Day of Judgment, the Day of Wrath. The entire earth will shake. You'll hear the trumpets of heaven. You'll see worldwide, natural catastrophes, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, storms. It's going to be a pole shift. It's been the long anticipated pole shift. That's what's going to happen, and it's going to be the Day of Wrath, the Day of Messianic Revelation. It'll be a very special day, and the world will know that it's a day that has changed human history forever. It's going to be a major shift in history and a major paradigm shift in all of human history. That's what you have to look forward to. It's not God appearing in clothing, God forbid. Some ridiculous Hollywood fantasy conception here. But as far as Richard, I'll continue and tell you, at that point, there will be nothing holding the Gentiles back from being honest with the Jews. All right, there is so much hatred for them and resentment for them, and that's God's will. It's also part of the pressure that's been put on them in order for them to sell everything, pick up, and leave. But they keep on dragging their feet. They keep on procrastinating, making excuses, dilly-dallying, and then now God is going to leave them with no other choice. And it's going to be very painful. It's going to be very humiliating. It's going to be very traumatizing. They'll lose their dignity. They'll be in pain. They'll be in shock. They'll be traumatized, and they'll be in fear. The best thing the Gentiles can do for themselves, aside from taking care of your personal security in the period of chaos that we're entering into, if you can permit yourself to help them, maybe drive them to the airport, maybe help them along the way, do what you can to help them when they are on the run and trying to leave those countries and come back to Israel. That will be a merit upon you. God will see that as a plus for you. God will bless you for that. Help the Jews leave when they have no other choice but to leave. Right now, they're obstinate, they're arrogant, they still have their pride intact, they have their money, they have their homes, they have their arrogance, they have all that chutzpah. All of that is going to be taken away from them. Then they'll be left desperate, stranded, marooned. Do your best if you can permit yourself to, if you can allow yourself to, in the face of all the craziness that's going to happen, help them leave. That's the best advice I can give the Gentiles. And for yourselves, what you should do, obviously for yourselves, gather in your communities, find cohesion with like-minded people, work together. You'll have to rebuild everything. It's not going to be blown up and utterly annihilated, your whole entire world. The physical world will obviously remain. Materialism will obviously remain. The value systems will change. The value systems will shift, convert from material values to more spiritual values. Adapt yourselves to spirituality and spiritual values. It's no longer going to be about vanity, movies, cars, showing off, indulging in fornication and sex and stupidity, and LGBTQ is going to go out the window. All this Satanism, all this that's the positive. That's a good thing. The money will be real again. There's going to be real commerce and interaction based on honest money, and societies will balance, and it's a positive. But you'll have to go through hell. You'll have to go through a chaotic time that a lot of people won't be able to adjust, especially city people, especially people that are urban or are spoiled. So the country people are better off. The people that are preppers are going to be better off. They're going to be, in a better cohesion. They have cohesion, and they're looking out for one another. They're in larger groups, so that they don't work as a solo lone wolf. You won't survive. You have to work in groups. You have to work together in families. You have to be on the same wavelength, same frequencies, same so you'll be prepared mentally, so you won't be overwhelmed. Some people will go into a psychological breakdown. They'll go through a spiritual crisis or psychological breakdowns. Honestly, psychosis. You want to avoid that. So if you know this is what's coming, obviously you want to prepare yourselves mentally, and just realize you can't rely on others. There might be government, agencies trying to help, FEMA, but you can't trust them. You can't trust their motives. There'll be probably food rationing or food banks. They won't let people in first world countries. There won't be starvation on the level of third world countries, but there will be hardship, because you won't have access to your money. You won't be buying things with your money. You'll be reliant on the goodwill of others if you haven't prepared. You'll be reliant on your government to try to feed you and protect you. But people will run amok. They'll find an excuse. This is a perfect excuse for Mad Max anarchy, for a lot of maniacs that are already on the edge of the big cities, a lot of psychos. All right, so you have to prepare yourself mentally for that. You have to defend yourself. You have to get armed. You have to get in the right state of mind. You can't be a pats. What's the word I'm looking for? a pansy. Don't be pansy. Don't be pansies. If you're big city people that are coddled and spoiled and and very soft, you have to change your outlook. You have to change your state of mind, and you have to change your perspective on how things will change. If things will be things are already becoming very sort of violent and unpredictable in the big cities like in New York and LA and Chicago and other places in America that are violent and unpredictable, and you have to always look behind, look over your shoulder and make sure that there are no threats around you. Who's Velikovsky? Who's Velikovsky? Who's that?
I don't know. I just thought I'd let him ask the question if he wants to.
I don't know who that is. It could be like a modern day political scientist, but all right, good for you, that woman living in Lebanon. Enjoy your Lebanon and Zatar and whatever.
Well, she might have to come back to the States, she tells me.
I don't know, but Lebanon is going through something like this. Lebanon had to stabilize its economy because it was on the verge. They were having a lot of riots and disturbances and protests, and they found some help from other countries to stabilize themselves. But this will be on a global level. I mean, Europe will have a hard go at it. So will America, and this is going to drive. This is going to be on the level that it will force the Jews to leave. They will either leave or die. All right. So those are the two options they will have, and so that's what they will have to decide. And my rabbi said, death is a more powerful force than any other thing when it's pursuing you. It's more powerful than your money. It's more powerful than your homes, your businesses, your pride, your arrogance. That death pursuing you will be the driver, the motivator to have you leave. To the Jews that are Jews in Europe and in America. And that woman, whatever, if she's a Christian or a Muslim or,
Muslim.
She's a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So even in your Quran, it says that the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people and that they will return to their land. All right. So if you're they're Arabic from the area, and they have a grudge, they have a chip on their shoulder because of the wars and all the bitter blood. But Muslims that don't live in the Middle East, and some that do, some clerics have made their peace with the fact that the Jewish people have ownership of the land of Israel, of Jerusalem, and that they will all return. And this is what entails end times prophecy. So if you can't come to terms with that, then that's your problem. Velikovsky claims the Hebrew prophecies resulted from the collision of a meteor with the earth. Okay. Elliot, my dear friend, how long do you think we have until the dollar and the pound collapse? Well, there's so many different intricate aspects and so many different intricate factors and playing on it that it can happen overnight. Now, a lot of the analysts that I've listened to over the years are saying this, that it really can happen overnight because it is just that overstressed. It's got so much stress. The systems have so much stress on them that it could be. That's why that they were talking about cyber attacks, electromagnetic pulses, false flags. That's what the narratives that they've been building since the beginning of the Ukraine war and throughout the Ukraine war. They want to find a rationale to feed the masses, the dumb sheep, and to have them believe that all this needed to happen because of some overriding circumstance. They won't allow the currencies to collapse and implode in on themselves in a way that won't allow that'll expose them. They want to cover their asses. All right. So how quickly the dollar collapses and how quickly the pound collapses and all these things, it's controlled. It's a controlled demolition. They're playing around, they with all the instruments they have, whether it's interest rates or money printing and creating currency and creating credit. We're oversaturated now. They're coming to a point where they must reset. That's why they call it the Great Reset. Okay, they must do it. They're reaching the point of no return, where they will have to push the button on whatever plans they have, whether it's cyber attack or war, inducing wars, sparking these wars. You could see America is provoking China now. It's a back and forth with China. Before that, they were provoking Russia. Who provoked them into war? It was NATO, it was the Americans. It was all provocation. It was all premeditated. Now, not that they're saints. I don't think the Chinese are saints. I don't think the Russians are saints. They're far from being saints. But and they know too. They're not stupid. They have thousands of years of history and experience and knowledge in these games and manipulations and tactics and strategies. And they know very damn well this can't be concealed. It's out in the open. They know what the West is doing. So maybe they'll lend them a hand. And if they start this war, or if something happens in the Persian Gulf, if let's say Saudi Arabia and Dubai and the Emirates along with us decide to bomb the fuck out of the Iranians, then you have the Straits of Hormuz shutting down, and then you have oil prices shooting through the roof to probably above $200, and then that's it. The fucking whole entire system collapses as a result of that. Then you have market crashes, and then you have credit freezes, and that could be the impetus. That could be the catalyst. It can happen in a million and one ways, and when and timelines and predictions. All I could tell you is so much of the stuff has been in our faces for years now that we won't be surprised by it. Those that haven't been aware and in a state of anticipation, whether it drove us crazy, drove me crazy. It put me into a state of high anxiety and paranoia, and that's why I feel calm now. I know it's over. We don't have to wait any longer. It's about to end. And how it arrives, I don't know exactly, but there are a plethora, a variety of scenarios that can play themselves out. And from day to day, we watch and see, and it's also written about that this time would be a time of unpredictability. Lo yodim ma yiled yom. We do not know what the day will bring. That's what's written about during the Messianic age, prior to Messianic revelation. Every day brings something new, and it's a constant, sort of like every day something more, profound than what happened the next day, and the progress moving forward becomes clearer and clearer to the point where nobody can deny it anymore. No, none of the normies, none of the people living in their bubbles can deny it anymore. Especially Mrs. That woman in Lebanon chewing down on her falafels or shawarma over there at the beach. Did you enjoy the beach there, Lebanese woman? I saw that beach. It's a pretty nice beach. It's just not too far off the coast here in the north. But Sewell Beach, Sewell Beach, yeah, nice. It reminds me of the beaches here. But anyway, the thing is that this is a very convincing. All right, the process that we are in, that Elliot would like to defer to just earthly circumstances. Fine, Elliot, go enjoy that. Prefer that. Defer it to just earthly politics and economics, what have you. It totally neglect the hand of God in the matter. I understand where you're coming from. I don't agree with you. You want to take that position? Fine, no problem. I don't agree with you. But the other things that I've described in surrounding all of these events that are now happening, unfolding now, that have not been for now, they have not unfolded. They have not revealed themselves. When the day arrives, when the time arrives, when these events do begin to unfold, just remember, it's not my message. It's my rabbi's message, Rabbi Nir Ben Artzi. I'm not speaking on my behalf. I'm speaking on his behalf, and I must say this because he said it's a great sort of affront, and it's an infraction to take the information he provides and say it in your own name. Or change it, or alter it, or reshape it, or change the meaning of it. So I'm following what my rabbi says. I committed it to memory. I'm repeating it for you people. I'm doing it for just because it's my privilege, it's my honor to repeat the messages of my rabbi, because I believe he's the Mashiach, and you will soon know that he is the Mashiach. So anyway, so. For now, the messages have been provided to you. You can write it down, like he said, record it, remember all of it, because it will unfold. And I'm saying this with full confidence. Everything that he has said throughout the years, it's all true. It's all come true. It all comes true. And it's not that he just makes predictions or envisions things or receives God's message, God's word, and he speaks it, as a transmitter. It's also like gozer gzerot. He also delivers down judgments, delivers executions, executes. This is what the Messiah is. This is what he's about. Mashiach is also an executioner. He will execute judgment. And that's the function he has when he's revealed. And so just know this, remember this. You can laugh all you want, mock all you want. You have your stupid false religions based on ours, modifications, retellings, you've had your fun. You've had your fun molesting our faith, molesting our book. That's ending. That's coming to an end. Sorry to insult all of you, but you asked for it. You're mocking me like you're laughing and you have tears coming out of your eyes, making fun of what I'm saying. Well, you won't be laughing very much longer, Giveret, or whatever you are, miss. That's where I'm going to end it. That's 2 hours there, Claire. We went at it. Wow.
We did. Did we finish? Did we get right to the end of your rabbi's speech or not?
Yeah, play it. I don't know. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay.
לכל אחד יקבל את התגמול שלו, הטוב ופחות טוב.
Everybody will get what's coming to them, both the good and the less good, or what everybody will get what they deserve in the time coming. So God has given the world as much time as possible until there's no time left. God Himself has reached his max, as far as his limit with allowing people to, drag their feet, make excuses, ignore, pretend like nothing's happening, live in denial. There's an end to all of this. It's ending now. And he was very, very charitable, very merciful. This is decades long, decades. This process has taken, this final sort of crescendo has been decades in the making. The whole process of Messianic revelation has been thousands of years in the making since the revelation at Sinai. That's between 3,300 to 3,400 years ago. So this process has been thousands of years in the making, but the final crescendo has been decades in the making, and God has a cutoff limit. And mine, you could say I reached my cutoff limit about 10 years ago. So that's why I've been frustrated and stir crazy and in a frenzy, and I had to calm myself because I'm not God. I don't have the patience of God. I don't have patience. I don't have the patience for people. I don't have this kind of patience. I can't put up with it. I can't put up with people, that refuse to. That are stupid. I mean, they could be educated, college educated, university. They could be extremely proficient in their jobs or their vocations, their occupations. But as far as spiritual understanding, religious understanding, or an instinctual understanding, an impulse, an awareness, abstract thought, the ability to see things in a way that requires more abstract thinking or kind of like it demands more of you as far as your, not just imagination. It's not about imagination. It's your ability to connect things that seem not linked or seem far off from one another. So you have all of a sudden you have mystical, spiritual, texts and teachings connected to current events, connected to politics, connected to the economics, connected to culture, connected to social degradation, connected to all the phenomenon. And you have to put all these pieces together and create a clear picture of the puzzle. Many people not only can't do it, they don't want to do it. They don't want to exert themselves. That's why they will be left behind. They won't be, enjoying the fruits of all this labor. I mean, I've been laboring at this, and I will enjoy the fruits of this event, whereby many others will be on the floor, crawling on the floor like, like what my rabbi described, like ants, in agony, in sheer agony, in pain for having lost the value of their money, their material, sort of like pride, materialistic pride, and all of this. It's a big, huge hammer or anvil to the head, like a humbling, No, I'm not. No, this is all figurative. I'm not going to be there, like the Grim Reaper tossing you, into a pit. Like, no. I'm just describing to you what will take place. It's up to you to act on these warnings and act on this information. I'm not the minister of justice. I'm not the executioner. I'm not the God's hand. And escape any. How you two think Israel will escape any of the collapse? Sure, Pigger. It's funny. I have to do it in an Arabic accent from Lebanon. I have to mock her because she's trying to mock me. It's Israel will be fully protected, Mrs. Whatever that woman is. We will have a reckoning here, a filtering of everyone living here as well. We will get rid of all of the ones that want to cause us all this trouble and threaten us and threaten our, our country and threaten our holy city, which is forever the eternal holy capital of the Jewish state. And you and your countries will have whatever you want in your countries. You will have to go there and live there. And we will soon see who will be protected and who will not be protected, Mrs. That woman. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Ahlan wa sahlan and yalla. Or how do they say it in Arabic? My Arabic sucks. Tfaddal, and how do you say goodbye? How do you say goodbye?
I don't know.
Assalamu alaikum. And how do they say like God go with you in Arabic? There's a way of saying it as well. I forget. Anyway. I'm trying to be funny. I hope I was funny. How much does it cost to ride the gondola? I must know. Yeah, in Venice, because of inflation now, man, you're going to pay through the nose. Man, I took my mom on a gondola in Venice when we were in Venice. It paid like something like, maybe $200. Maybe, and now it's worse. Maybe it's like $300, $400 just for a gondola ride.
I think he might mean, Edit might mean the cable car from Haifa, in Haifa.
No, that's like $2-3. But the gondolas in Venice, man, they're expensive, man. Wow. And they sing and they serenade you, the gondoliers, in Venice. It's funny.
How much did it cost you?
I was there. It was like something like between $150 to $200 for like about an hour long gondola ride.
Ooh.
Yeah, they tear you a new one. They rip you, but you're not in Venice every day,
No,
it's a tourist trap.
Yes. Can you remember what they sang to your mother?
No, it's all the same.
Solo mio.
The Solo Mio and all that stuff. Yeah. It was fun. The Grand Canal, everything was beautiful. We had a nice seafood lunch at the Grand Canal restaurants there. And, it was nice. Grappa, the Italian liquor, real strong. Good stuff, yeah. But anyway, so you can laugh and mock whatever you like there, Mrs. Whatever. I don't take issue with her. I don't hate. I had my teacher for driver's ed was a Christian Lebanese guy, and we were friends. He helped me get my license when I was in Brooklyn. But so it's like I have no chip on my shoulder. It's like I don't care. Everything will work itself out. It's all in God's hands now. And what Richard asked, I answered. Be in a state of humility. Don't fight this. It's not gonna be. You're not gonna be able to fight this if you're on the straight and narrow. If you're not a deviant, if you're not a sexual deviant, if you're not a Satanist, if you're a normal heterosexual a believer, a faithful person, no matter Gentile or Jew, just be in a state of submission. Be humble. Work together with your community and your family and your friends. You must work together. This will be a challenging time. You'll get through it, but it will traumatize a lot of people that are spoiled. Just try to get yourself out of the state of being spoiled and being yeah, I'm a good driver. I drove all around Europe at top speeds in the autobahns, autostradas, and I make it back. I'm obviously I didn't kill myself, but I'm a good driver. I like to drive long distance road trips. That's you can see it on my Facebook. I that's one of my big obsessions was to meditate, to drive. Especially to all these different exotic locations. It did it for me, but I had my fill of that. So anyway, that should be enough. I went on and on. Pigger calls me a motor mouth. That son of a bitch. Yeah. So yeah, I have a motor mouth. So that's I laid down the law. I laid down the information. Do with it what you will. All right. Take it easy, Claire. I'm gonna go.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.